Hey guys, Jason. And today I want to talk about something really interesting. So, and I know I say that in all my videos, but really all these stories I cover seem to be really interesting. So, Olivier Janssens, I hope I'm saying his last name right, so excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, is a millionaire Bitcoiner. He made his money with Bitcoin, and it's very fascinating because a lot of Bitcoiners like to sit on their money, but there's a good amount of people that like to donate small percentages. Like I've seen a lot of people donate, maybe a couple, $100 towards a project if they really believe in it. And these are people that have millions of dollars in Bitcoin. Well, this Olivier guy is phenomenal because first of all, there was a story about him a few months ago. He was the first guy to pay for a private plane company in Europe was starting to accept Bitcoins, and that was his first large purchase of his Bitcoin wealth was to use it to fly using this passenger jet plane. And I thought that was really interesting when I read the article. But now this guy has really toppled anything I've heard in the cryptocurrency realm, including Bitcoin. He a couple months ago offered up $100,000 to some innovative research or innovative systems that come out of Bitcoin. And so I wanted to discuss this and talk about how interesting this is. So he offered up this $100,000 of his own money to fund Bitcoin, to make Bitcoin better. And I'm going to talk about the winner and the runner-up and what their projects seem to have. So the first one that was announced is Lighthouse, right? And this is pretty interesting. It's basically a Kickstarter for Bitcoin. It persists itself inside the Bitcoin protocol, inside the Bitcoin wallet, and it allows the average user in a decentralized way to fund a project. But what's even more interesting is this system is going to have a way that it will allow, if the project doesn't give enough money, it will send the money back to the original sender. So that way, like with with Kickstarter, if a project doesn't give enough money, it gives the money back. So that a project, because obviously if the project needs $1 million and only gets 40,000, that 40,000 isn't going to be able to complete the project. So instead of them keeping that money and not being able to use it, they just give the money back to the original senders. And the same thing would happen in this Lighthouse, which I think is very phenomenal. Now, here's how the money is going to be broken up. At the end of August, this project will be complete. Olivier will pay this guy $40,000 for his hard work, as long as the project remains open source, which it will. So this is kind of interesting because then anyone can go in and tweak it, make it better if there's any bigger. They can even fork it if they want to. But what I find even more fascinating than Lighthouse is the fact that he's going to put up $50,000. Yes, that's right, $50,000 to the first large project that is crowdfunded through Lighthouse, and it's remarkable, because he's going to pay this guy $40,000 to keep the project open source, to continue updates with it, and this will be at the end of August, so it's not very far away, a few months. And then he's going to put up 50 grand for the first large project. And I think that's going to create a lot of competition. It's going to get a lot of people to move to this Lighthouse because obviously $50,000 for a project is a lot of money. It could fund, a good amount of time for research development for a project, for anything that's needed for really an open source project to move off of, we talk about Kickstarter and what it can do. Well, imagine that in a decentralized model where anyone in the world can contribute, and it's fascinating when you think of the possibilities. And I know the $40,000 to this developer is a big deal, but what I find more interesting, and I think the average person will too, is that he's willing to fund 50 grand to the very first program. And so that really opens up because suddenly, without this, there's no incentive for people to go to use this. Yeah, it's pretty unique, it's cool, but there's no, big kabang to get, all these people to go from the Kickstarter or Indiegogo to go to this model and start using Bitcoin. And that $50,000 donation is really going to push it over the edge because you're going to have hundreds of people, literally hundreds, maybe thousands of people with great idea projects that have, great potential. They're going to go put their projects and try to advertise them on this Lighthouse. And by doing that, competition is going to be fierce. And the one that does get the very top is going to be a very unique, very potentially changing the whole Bitcoin realm. Really, when you think about it, when there's that much competition, you're going to breed out the bad projects. You're going to get the finest, the best projects possible. And then when you add on or tack on that this Olivier guy is willing to give $50,000 to the project, that incentive just kind of pushes it over the edge. And that will really, like he said, his goal with doing this is to push Lighthouse over the edge and to make it a common name, because when you make publicity behind something, you get an incentive. If I create a really awesome program but you don't get anything from it and there's no one using it, why would you do it? But suddenly I got all these people rushing the program. I got tons of projects going on to it. I got the community is willing to start funding some of these lower end projects because they think they're interesting. And on top of that, this Oliver guy's putting 50 grand into the top program. It's without a doubt that this treehouse, or not treehouse, sorry, this lighthouse is going to succeed. And I think that's really awesome of a Bitcoin millionaire to do. It's going to be fundamental to bringing the Kickstarter and Indiegogo model to Bitcoin. And of course, a decentralized model is even better. I think that's awesome. Now, the runner-up was Iris, yes, I say that right, by Project Douglas. Now, this is the one that I personally thought should have won. But, you know, it's not about my personal opinion. It's about what this Oliver guy picked. And, you know, if he has the money, he's willing to donate $100,000. So I'm going to respect every decision he makes because he had options to a lot of programs, a lot of projects. And he picked these two, and he picked them in concession to one another. And so I'm going to let him stay up too because he took the time to research and develop his ideas and how much he wanted to give and to who he wanted to give the money. But Iris by Project Douglas is a crowd for... I don't know how to describe it. So let's try to break it down. So in a normal hierarchy of society and of management of a corporation, you have people at the bottom, you have the upper level management, then the upper level management, and then it's top CEO or whoever. And the goal of this Iris, or I hope I'm saying that right, is to decentralize the Bitcoin Foundation. And that, I watched the video and I watched how it would run, and it blew my mind. It was really, really breathtaking to kind of listen to. The guy, one of the guys is a lawyer who does stuff for currency exchanges over in Europe, and he is obviously extremely intelligent. Now, this Oliver guy will be giving this program $10,000, which I think will greatly help the project. It's not $40,000, but $10,000 is still going to push it a long way, and I can see it really being implemented in a lot of foundations because suddenly every single person in the coin can. There's a question of how this will work. Either they'll donate money or they'll prove that they're a large stake owner of the coin. And so instead of the foundation being a whole bunch of members and a board of directors like a conventional company, you'll have a decentralized. Everybody will vote. Those who don't want to vote don't have to vote, and those who vote, either yay or nay, have the opinion. They kind of get to choose what happens. And like the guy, this lawyer was talking, explaining. In a normal, like for instance, the Bitcoin Foundation. The Bitcoin Foundation has money, revenue coming in from donations and from the members, and when they do something that the community is against, there's not much the community can do to get to reverse their action. They could eventually kick them off the board, but that's about it. And in the case of the Bitcoin Foundation, there's a large portion of the sitting board members that are sitting there because they are part of a large corporation that is centralized around Bitcoin. So, kind of the idea of this Iris, of having a decentralized model of really management and also foundational boards for cryptocurrencies, I think is revolutionary. So to wrap it up, both of these Lighthouse and Iris, I think, were amazing choices. I think Oliver is an amazing guy. He is what I want to see out of every Bitcoin millionaire, donating to the community, putting it forward. It's great to see, and I think both these projects are going to go great. I really do think the Lighthouse with the $50,000 behind it is going to bring a lot of people in. Lighthouse is going to explode. I think, if it's going to be done by the end of August, I think by December it is going to be a huge thing in Bitcoin just because of the money behind it. I also think Iris with the $10,000 donation, I think we're going to see that push forward as well. And I think you'll see that decentralized voting, just like we've heard people talk about this for the last 6 months or so, but an actual model of this based on we've always had this idea of companies and a board, and it's kind of changing that all up, and it's allowing it to be a decentralized where every single member is equal, and I find that very interesting. So both of these were great choices by this Oliver guy. And if you're watching, thank you so much for doing this. I think you've just propelled the Bitcoin community leaps beyond what we were before you did this donation. So I want to thank everybody for watching. This is Janssens signing off.